Thank you. Thank you for the introduction, which is not very much important after this pandemic anymore. Anyway, I would like to thank my colleagues, previous speakers, who enlightened us with many good ideas that they shared with us from their own institution experiences, whether from Canada, India, and the last one from Malaysia. I really learned a lot by listening to all of you. Definitely, Oman Development Bank is not different from any other DFIs when it comes to trying to combat the COVID crisis during and now the preparation after. And probably the most difficult now is the day after, which is hopefully that it will be starting soon. Recovery is in the way. However, we all struggled in the beginning of the crisis, and part of this struggle is really the readiness, because nobody expected such a crisis to happen so fast. I mean, monitoring the crisis from starting December 2019 and then moving to March of 2020, it went so fast to the extent that we could not really catch our breath in terms of getting ready and what to expect and what not to expect. However, later on we started some sort of adaptation, which is I would call it a forced adaptation in terms of what to do and what not to do, mainly observing, trying to help. However, I remotely help without being ready on digital solutions, as has been said by my friend from Small Industries Development Bank of India. I think one of the weaknesses probably that we can share here in my country, which is definitely much more smaller than many of your economies with a 5 million population, 50% of which are expat and the other 50 are locals. Definitely, we are importing almost all technical solutions from abroad, and during the pandemic we were stuck. There are no consultants who wanted to fly. There are no equipments, definitely in terms of hard and softwares, because there's all technology was employed toward health care rather than toward normal businesses. There were also a lot of pressure on technology, especially in hardware, because all schools were closed and students who never study from home, now 100% of the schools will be operating from home for almost a year and a half. And there was a very high demand for laptops, iPads, you name it. There's nothing in the market, and prices went up maybe a triple during the panic time. This all actually affected businesses, whether smaller and medium and bigger size. And the effect to a financial institution like us, who are not ready to go fully remote and fully digital, is the know-how, is the readiness of applying what we been calling for years in the area of financial technology and I mean fintech and other digital banking solutions, and definitely what we did is really not up to the expected standards by the clients, despite the fact that our clients are also not very much sophisticated, because we deal with small projects such as rural areas, agriculture, and coastal area, fishermen, who doesn't even wanted to use technology. So that's again posed another challenge, because when we transformed our paperwork, traditional lending through our branches into an automated lending through a link that we can fill an application in no time, in maybe 2 to 3 minutes. And nobody wanted to use that application at the beginning because they don't know how to use it. So what we did, we tried to put agents in each village and city, where those people who are not very much sophisticated, they can go to the agent and they will do the electronic application, because all of our branches were closed for the pandemic and we were operating mostly from home. There was some definitely lesson learned from the residents that I will not go into detail now. Next, please. The government tried to help. It's not only in directly providing financing or deferment of installments or relaxing some of the central bank regulation, but also in stopping tax collection, license fees, and as I said, also banking sector incentives, labor market and employment incentives, reduction of income tax from 15% to 12%, and not to be collected until 2023. So it's not only a reduction, but also no collection. And as I said, postponement and deferment of SME loans. This is not only, of course, applicable to Oman Development Bank, but to all lending institutions, including commercial banks. IDB allocated around $52 million. The government allocated around $52 to train job seekers, because many people went out of their jobs, and definitely they need to be prepared to take another job, and this also were taken care by the labor market regulators, which is the Ministry of Labor. On the other challenge that faced businesses, it's the expat, because many of the workforce were dependent on expat workers from neighboring countries, mainly from Indian continent, Philippines, and other Asian countries, Bangladesh, Pakistan, and many of those laborers were panicked because of the pandemic, and they don't know what to do, and many of them left. So hundreds of thousands of laborers left the country, and here the SME sector faced a lot of difficulties due to the shortage of the labor force that were mainly dependent on expat laborers. Next, please. Next, sorry, it's the next, yeah, this page, I think. This is the key initiatives taken by ODB to help our clients. So as any other institution of yours did, loan deferment for a period of 18 months, which we were expanding now for another 6 months, so it's going to be for 2 years. We did an emergency loans for small and microfinance of up to almost, we reach above $50 million for micro and home-based businesses, self-employed, such as drivers, taxi, cabs, and so on, and other micro-lending institutions and SMEs. Then we also provided rescue loans in the form of working capital to our clients. We did a lot of rescheduling, as I said, up to last month, almost 18 months of non-repayment, no collection, and this will be extended further for another 6 months until the first quarter of 2022. Next. In terms of performance, as we all know, the hit of the pandemic, of the crisis, is not going to show up this year in 21 or even 22. Definitely, the central bank and regulators are relaxing some of the regulation, but not for long. Definitely, many of those institutions, whether development finance institutions or commercial banks, will start taking the hit by, I expected, the end of 22 onward, because many of these businesses that we are trying to save, they are all gone. So I don't expect them to come back and start paying their dues. So the deferment, the rescheduling we did for many of those is really a painkiller that is not going to last for long, and definitely it's going to affect all of us when it comes to the P&L, and therefore in provision of to meet these P&Ls. We have to provide lots of resources in the coming 3 to 5 years. But if we look at 2020, this is kind of a snapshot of what ODB did. We did over 180 million US dollar of new loans. This is mainly to SMEs and micro. We dispersed close to 170 million US dollar, and we surprisingly managed to collect almost 120 million dollars. And definitely, as I said, this is not, the collection is going to suffer in the coming years. Hopefully, we will find ways and means to do what has been done in Canada, and trying to the Canadian experience of Business Development Bank of Canada, in trying to find a market solution for these businesses, and trying to do some sort of transformation of the business model for many of these businesses. Next, please. In terms of approvals, we managed to provide new approvals for micro, almost 32.5 million, and for SMEs, 25 million, which is small figures because of the slowness of the business during 2020 and 2021. As I told you, there are no labor working. There's total lockdown in Oman, one of the countries that really highly hit by the pandemic, where we've gone through almost 6 close downs totally. One of them, even for a whole week, you don't leave your house, not even go to a grocery. So many of these businesses really got hit, but we still managed to support them whenever we could. Especially the working capital was very helpful in making those businesses sustainable. Next, please. Those are examples again of the deferred loan for SMEs, almost $180 million, and we managed to reschedule newly given loans for almost 38 million. Those loans were recently dispersed in 2019 and 2018. So whatever we dispersed in 18, 19, 20, 21, there's no collection now, almost for some of the portfolio for 4 years, and we don't know what's going to come next. Next. These are examples of the sectors that are mostly affected, as has been said by some of the previous speakers, especially in Malaysia experience, where tourism sector is really highly hit. and therefore any related business to tourism is again hit. People are not going to shopping malls, so there's no trade, there's no services that are used to be providing, whether entertainment or in retail. All of these were probably the only sector that flourished is food, hypermarkets, because people are sitting at home and eating most of the time. Next. This slide will give you deferred loans, mainly in which sectors, and if somebody wanted to look at these sectors that got more deferment or asked for deferment, the list is there in the presentation. Finally, I'll go through summary. Next, that ODB has managed, partially to sail through this pandemic because we have a business continuity plan and it's disaster recovery. However, despite the fact that it helped us sail around, but we felt that there are many lessons learned because we lack the mean of and the knowledge of a fully digital bank operation. Therefore, and I believe even if we master that, our clients are not ready for that. So this is a lesson learned. Therefore, we started already in the transformation process into a more digital banking solutions. And there are lessons to be learned from others. As I said, I really enjoyed the presentation by the Small Industries Development Bank of India, and definitely we can learn a lot from their experience on this regard. As I said, there is an upgrade of the bank's IT infrastructure, yet we could not do everything we wanted due to the lack of expertise. Expertise has to come from outside, and consultants cannot fly in home. So we were trying to do things remotely, and not all success. But we managed, as I say, to sail truly, and all of us learned so many lessons from this. But I would really say the biggest lesson to learn is from now on is expect what you don't expect. And I believe working remotely and using fintech and different financial technology tools is not a choice from now on. And definitely new solutions has to come. I like the idea also of my friend from the Development Bank of Malaysia on the credit guarantee schemes, because in some cases we don't want to go direct financing. You don't have time, especially during crisis. All you want to do is to issue a guarantee and let the entrepreneur go with that guarantee to a more efficient financial institutions than a development finance institutions. What I mean by that is more into commercial banking. So let them use such a guarantee to get what they want fast, because we are, no matter what we do, we will continue to struggle with bureaucracy due to ownership. Most of us are owned by governments, and these are public money, and definitely we are a little bit slow in terms of disbursement compared to more dynamic commercial banking. With this, I think I shared my experience, and I hope that we will all be learning from the coming experiences and presentations for the remaining of the day. Thank you for being patient, for listening to me. Thanks a lot.